Picture a family leaving the children's hospital. They're tired and they're drained from another day caring for their sick child. But they walk across the street to unwind with a home-cooked meal and a place to sleep that's only a few hundred feet from their kid's hospital bed. I'm Phil Kruse, and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle. Today, I'll be interviewing Jarrod Daab with Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Florida. We're going to be talking about how the Ronald McDonald House Charities helps local families with hospitalized children. Jarrod is the Chief Development Officer for this region. He's got 20 years in the nonprofit space, and he's responsible for overseeing all the fundraising and marketing initiatives. And their goal is to meet a 4.2 million annual budget. So they got a lot of holes to fill, people. That's what we're hoping you're going to help out with. Jarrod, welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phil. It's a pleasure.
Great. For the listener out there, this is what Jarrod and I are going to be discussing for you, is how you, listening or watching out there, can get involved with the Ronald McDonald House Charities. Some stories about the families that Jarrod has heard of or helped directly through the charities, and the different services the Ronald McDonald House provides, and also a brief history of the Ronald McDonald House Charities and the Central Florida chapter. But before we get any further, I want to make sure you understand out there, if you hear what Jarrod has to say in our discussion and you want to get involved, know that the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Florida is having their year-end push. Obviously, we're in the holiday season. Spotlight Energy, one of their partners, is matching donations up to $50,000. So you're going to double your donation. You can do that by going to the Ronald McDonald House Charities website. It's a big acronym, rmhccf.org. And looking ahead to 2025, if you want to get personally involved with charitable events, they have an annual golf tournament in March at the Isleworth Country Club. They have a clay shooting tournament, shotgun shooting. That's a lot of fun. And an Appetite for the Arches chef tasting event in April. All this stuff's going to be available on their website. I'm going to include it in the description of the episode below. Or you could just volunteer. But we'll be talking more about that. And don't forget about my real estate services. I am a real estate agent, and one of my main lead sources are listeners like you. So contact me for any reason. A portion of my charities goes to commission. A portion of my commission goes to charity.
Strike that, reverse it, right?
Exactly. As a matter of fact, that's how I got exposed to the local staff at Ronald McDonald House Charities, is because one of my clients asked that I donate my portion of my commissions to the Ronald McDonald House. So let's get into it. I was blown away when I recently toured the Ronald McDonald House location over there across the street from Orlando Regional Medical Center, where the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital is. As I mentioned, I had a client that chose Ronald McDonald House as their charity of choice to donate my commissions to. And when I was there, I saw a father playing with his child in this awesome playroom that they had clearly just gotten back from the hospital. I saw the epic kitchen that you guys have. What a beautiful facility. So Jarrod, I want to stay on the vein of the family that I saw. You probably are exposed to some crazy stories, some beautiful stories, some heartwarming stories. Can you share a story that stands out in your mind of a family that was helped by Ronald McDonald House Charities here in Central Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I just want to, thank you for having me on here. I think this relationship that we have is a very, it's great synergy in the sense that you're providing homes for families in our communities, and we are literally providing a home away from home for families that have a child that is being treated in one of our pediatric hospitals here in Orlando. So I love the connection there between that, and I hope people realize that and especially with their buying a home through your services, that they could be helping support other families in their community. So I think it's really cool. Absolutely. And as you said, we support. This year, we're going to support nearly 2,200 families in our 3 houses here in Orlando. So that's 150 to 200 families every single month that are coming through our doors. And we have a story for every single one of them. And I've been with the organization for over 8 years. And it's some of my favorite. It is my favorite thing is just meeting those families, hearing their stories, and how grateful they are for the services that we're able to provide. And they're always just so blown away by the community supporting the houses and saying, like, man, these people come in and help us out. And it's so amazing that they're thinking of us. And yeah, like, I can think of, so many families that have had that gratitude. I've had families that have been resistant to wanting to stay at Ronald McDonald House. They're like, really? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave my child's side, by their bed. I think of one mom that I talked to several years ago, and she was one of those. She's like, I'm not leaving my child's side. And I can, empathize with that, because I can only imagine if my child was in the hospital for days on end. I'm like, I don't want to leave their side. I feel like I'm abandoning them. Right. What she didn't realize at the time is that she was not getting any rest. She's, sleeping on a chair in her child's bedroom. She's not getting a shower. She's not eating well. And she's just, just going down in energy level. And that is not good for her child, because she's supposed to be making decisions about her child's treatment with the medical staff. And she was actually, they were butting heads with each other. And, it got to she said, the head nurse came to me one night and said, you know what, there's a Ronald McDonald House right next door. You're going to apply for it, and we're going to get you in there to stay there tonight. And she said, no, I don't need it. And the nurse looked at her and goes, no, you don't understand. You are going there tonight because you do need it. And you're not she's like, you're not, we're not working together right now. And that's because you're just exhausted. And she said it herself. She reluctantly applied, got accepted, came over to our house, and she said, I took a shower, and she's like, I was asleep before my head even hit the pillow. She woke up the next day and just felt just like a new person, just completely different. And she came into, her child's hospital room, and she's like, I just had a completely different mindset. I was talking with, the medical staff about the treatment, and I was able to make the decisions for my daughter and her treatment that she needed. And she's like, it just dawned on me. She's like, I was being almost selfish trying to be there by my child's side, but I wasn't taking care of myself, which at the end is not taking care of my child. So it just opened up her eyes in a different way. And she's like, and the thing is that I could be by my child's side within minutes, because I'm literally steps away from the front of the hospital by staying at Ronald McDonald House. And so I always love that story, because it just shows the resistance that sometimes people can have. They're like, oh, that's not for me. I don't need to go. And it's like, no, you really do. You got to take care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not able to take care of your child.
You're absolutely right, Jarrod. And that's a great story. And thank you for sharing that. And it just, I think a lot of people listening probably understand the importance of sleep. They understand the importance of good nutrition, good hygiene, feeling good. But also, like, if you don't do those things, your brain doesn't work right, period. Definitely. We've all had a night, of poor sleep, or maybe no sleep, or, where you ate trash, or had a whole weekend with your buddies where you're going crazy. You come and your kids are grating your nerves immediately. You have no patience, and you're not thinking clearly. And I can imagine myself being in that mindset and being in a hospital room where my stress is through the roof, and trying to make a decision, and not even that, just supporting my child in a loving way. You're going to be more emotionally stable because of the Ronald McDonald House, and giving you that outlet to taking care of yourself, as you said, is not selfish. It's a way for you to give back to your child or your community in a better way. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can speak from a personal basis here too, because about 2 months before I joined, I was lucky to join this organization. My daughter at the time was about 3 years old. I had taken her, just moved down here, and new to Orlando, taking her to Disney for the very first time. It's July. It is unbelievably hot.
Yes.
And my youngest daughter wasn't feeling that great that day. And I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go to Disney. And of course she freaks out. I'm like, all right, we're going to go to Disney. It's going to be okay. Yeah. And I take her there, and, she wasn't feeling well, and she wound up having a seizure in the park. And it was extremely traumatic for me. And I had my her older sister was 3 years older, is 3 years older than her. So she was about 6 years old at the time, seeing her sister sieging in the park. And it was traumatic for her, and she's crying and I'm freaking out. And, I wound up in the emergency room with my youngest daughter. She had, I had strangers walking up to us, pouring water on her because she was just burning up. And like, just to help out. And I was soaked in water, and I made it to this emergency room, and it was like 60 degrees in this, in this room, as they typically are. And I'm freezing. I'm just freezing in there. But all I could think about was my poor little girl just sitting in this hospital bed. And we were there for over 8 hours. And it was absolutely draining for me, emotionally and physically, in every part of it. But at the end of the day, like, it was about, I think it was like 10 or 11 o'clock that night. I was lucky enough that they discharged us, because thankfully she was doing okay, and I could take her home. And I could take her home. And when I got home, it was so emotional for me. I just broke down crying. And, less than 2 months later, I'm interviewing for this job at Ronald McDonal House. And I just went, these families are here on average, our families are here for 10 days, but we have families that stay here for 3 months, 4 months. They can be here for a year or more. This is their home. And I just immediately said, my gosh, I was losing my mind after 8 hours. I can't even imagine what these families are going through. And I was just like, I got to be a part of this organization.
Wow. That's serendipitous. That's fate, seems like. And then I'm glad your daughter sounds like recovered well. She's fine.
Yeah, she's doing great. She is great. Absolutely.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing that. Such a personal story, Jarrod. And that's amazing. And your heart is obviously behind what you do. I respect the heck out of that. I want to pivot quickly to how Ronald McDonald House Charities started. How does NFL football, right, and the city of Philadelphia tie into the origin story of how Ronald McDonald House Charities started?
Yeah, this is a really cool year for us in 2024, because exactly 50 years ago, on October 15th, 1974, the very first Ronald McDonald House opened in the city of Philadelphia. So it's really cool. We've been celebrating as a worldwide organization. I know we'll talk about that coming up too. But
sure.
Starting with one house in 1974. So Fred Hill and his wife Fran. So Fred Hill was a player for the Philadelphia Eagles. Their daughter Kim, unfortunately, was diagnosed with leukemia, and they were being treated in the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And their GM, Jim Murray, was trying to help raise money for their family, for their treatments. And what Jim Murray found out, he got connected with this doctor called her name was Dr. Audrey Evans, and she was really spearheading this effort to build a house or to get a house next to the hospital, because she was seeing families literally sleeping in hallways, sleeping in, on chairs, not getting the rest that they need, just what we just discussed. And she saw it firsthand and said, these families need a place to stay. And more importantly, she was seeing families that were leaving the hospital before their treatment could end, because the families could no longer afford to either stay there, and they had to leave and go back home. And that, obviously that's not a good thing for their children when they're leaving before their treatment's even over. So she was like, we got to do something about this. So they connected, and she said, I need your help to build this house, or to get a house here. And so Jim Murray went to their number one sponsor of the Eagles, can you guess who it was? I'm going to put that on you.
I don't know. Cream cheese.
That's a good one, but McDonald's.
Yeah.
So McDonald's was their number one sponsor, and Jim Murray went to the owner operators.
I'm embarrassed, Jarrod.
I put you on the spot. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, McDonald's the key sponsor. Got it.
Absolutely. So they were the lead sponsor for the Eagles, and he said to the owner operator, he's like, "Hey guys, I need you to help me, raise some money here." And so they started their very first promotion with the iconic Shamrock Shake. And so the Shamrock Shake, 25 cents for every Shamrock Shake that was sold at that time, raised the money to acquire the very first house in Philadelphia. And basically McDonald's, from the corporate McDonald's and all that, were like, this is so cool. We love this concept that you guys have done. We want to be a part of that. And it really just spread from there. And from that first house 50 years ago, there are now 390 houses worldwide, not just in the U.S. It is literally a worldwide organization. So it's a really just cool thing that it started just with, a division of Dr. Audrey Evans, just really an iconic person. And a really cool thing is that everyone's going to get to know her very intimately, because there's a biopic coming out by her, of her, that talks about her life story and what she did for many other things, but a part of being Ronald McDonal House. So you're going to see that coming out on Netflix
Nice.
in the coming months, and we're super excited that we're going to be able to share her story with the world.
Wow, how timely! I didn't even know that. That's amazing. So
it's called Audrey's Children, and it really covers her experience at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia during, I think it's just really 1 year, like 1970, and she was a pioneering person for developing the identification for the stages of cancer. So when we talk about stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, she was the pioneering person behind all of that, which was really cool to see it on the big screen. So I got to see a sneak peek of it. Honestly, I saw the whole biopic, and it's really cool. And you'll recognize a lot of the actors in this biopic too. These are people that you're like, oh, I know that person. And it's just a really cool story. And it really honestly made it a visual for me, because I've heard her story for so long. They did such an amazing job in this biopic to really visualize what it was like for families sleeping in hallways. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's really cool. So I encourage everybody to go watch that when it comes out.
Well, you better believe that I'll be, trumpeting it from upon high. And it's cool that it's a biopic, which I guess means there's actors portraying those people, right? That's pretty amazing. Back to the 390 houses, though. You guys are in what, 64 different countries and regions?
Yeah, I believe it's around. Yeah, it is. It's around that number. It was really cool. Back in July of earlier this year, we had our worldwide conference, and we had 1,200 Ronald McDonal House representatives from all over the world there. And I got to meet so many different people, my colleagues from here in Florida, and then all over the country, and then all over the world. And it's just amazing to see the things that these groups are doing. And it filled my cup that weekend. It was very cool.
I can imagine. And the origin story as a whole, it just shows the value of what, taking action can do, and finding a partner that has financial means. All these ideas start from somewhere. It's a massive worldwide charity like Ronald McDonal House Charities started from somebody's vision, and started from a problem that needed to be solved, and started with a financial partner that could understand that vision. And here we are 50 years later, kind of with that segue of action, right? Taking action, which is what she did in Ronald McDonal House Charities has done. What is some of the ways an individual who's listening or watching to this podcast can get involved with Ronald McDonal House Charities?
Yes, that's what we need. And to clarify one thing too, that a lot of people have a misconception about is, McDonald's is our as we call them, our forever and founding partner. They are we work with our local McDonald's owner operators and all the restaurants here. When you go to McDonald's, and I know we all do, because the McDonald's is what it is, and you want to go there and get your coffee or your Happy Meal or whatever it may be, the first thing you can do is round up your meal. So when that meal comes across and it's $12.37, you want to round that meal up to $13, and that money is going to Ronald McDonal House, your local Ronald McDonal House. So first and foremost, always go to when you're going through that drive-through, you're going inside, say, hey, round up my meal for Ronald McDonal House. But my point there is that there sometimes can be a misconception that McDonald's is fully funding us. You mentioned that $4.2 million budget that we have. Now, McDonald's certainly helps us to raise money, and especially through the Roundup program and through their customers. But at the entire funding that comes through from like McDonald's, even our hospital partners, it accounts for about 20% of our budget. So 80% of that $4.2 million And I'm relatively good at math. So that's, well over $3 million that we have to raise from the public every single year. So we need people to make those donations to us. And when you're, making that donation to Ronald McDonald House, you are supporting local families. 45% of our families come from Central Florida. 90% of our families come from the entire state of Florida. So you are literally helping local families here when you make that donation to us. So please make a contribution to our organization. We are a 4-star Charity Navigator rated charity. So we are using your funds to support the programs that support these families. So please do that. But you can also come into the houses and volunteer. We rely so much on our volunteers to support the programs that we do. One of the biggest ones you can do, which is literally every single day, because we are open 365, 24/7. There's not a single minute that we're closed down. So 3 houses, 365 days a year. We have volunteers that come into our houses to cook dinner for our families. So you can literally come in, bring your ingredients, sit in one of those, that beautiful kitchen that you mentioned, and cook a meal for those, 20, 30 families that are staying in the house. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your coworkers. You can sign up directly on our website and pick the house that you want and the days that you want, and cook a meal. And the families, they know it's 6:00 when they come back from the hospital. They've got that home cooked meal sitting there waiting for them, and it could be the highlight of their day, because you're helping to give them a nutritious meal after a very long day of being in that hospital. And so it means the world to them.
To me, that sounds amazing. And to me personally, I'm a big advocate of volunteering with my time. I volunteer weekly at the New Image Youth Center, located in downtown Orlando in the Paramore area. And so that really resonates with me with what you said. And let me tell you, for those out there listening and watching that haven't seen the kitchen, it's like a commercial kitchen mixed with a residential kitchen. You still have granite countertops and nice furniture and appliances and cabinets that make you feel like you're in somebody's house. But the quality of the appliances, the massive multiple refrigerators, like there's a good chance that if you went there and volunteered and cooked there, that would be the best kitchen you've ever cooked in.
I think so.
One thing, when I toured the facility, the lady that I toured it with, she was amazing. She pointed out that a great thing to do is groups and businesses coming in. So if you're a business owner out there listening and you're looking for a way to create synergy with your employees, team building, and also synergy with the community and giving back, you could volunteer, take a group of your employees in and do home cooked meals. I can just picture that and picture these families coming in, smelling the food when they walk through the door, and just having a visceral reaction to like, the hospital is behind us for the day, decompress. I look forward to doing that. And I'm going to bring my kids and get them involved. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. It's my family and I, with my girls and my wife, we cook every Christmas Eve at one of the houses.
Wow.
And it was actually, my oldest daughter's idea when I first started. She's like, I want to cook at the house. And at that time she was like 6 years old. But it was cool. She's like, I want to, give back and do that. And I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. And, during the holiday season, we have, I would say right now we're pretty jam packed, but don't forget about us again in January, February, and March. Because as I say, 365, we've got to provide meals for these families, and we need people to sign up for that. And we provide all the cookware that's there. You just bring the ingredients and the menu. And I always say, go crazy with it. Have fun with it. We've got a grill on site. You could grill steaks and burgers or whatever you want to do. It's truly a fun time.
That's awesome. And a key point too is everyone thinks about giving back more so during Thanksgiving, during the holidays. It's those dips in the middle where charities like yourself need even more support. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Jarrod. I'm going to do a quick technical thing here. Let me do that real fast. All right, that's over with. Before we move on to the different houses that are in the Central Florida region, you mentioned there's 3. And some more information about you specifically, Jarrod. I'm interested in a little bit more about you. Before we move on, I just want to remind everybody that, of course, you're listening to a podcast or watching it. Subscribe to the podcast if you like this information. My podcast is about real estate, of course, and Orlando and lifestyle, just like this. So I interview local business leaders and charities all the time. If you want to learn more about different restaurants like Pig Floyd and Thomas Ward, or Bruno Zucchini at Pizza Bruno, if you want to learn more about Orlando Power Yoga and Kelly Sen, if you want to learn more about the New Image Youth Center where I volunteer, and Miss Shante Bart or Dr. Shante Barton Stubbs, like, those interviews are there. Like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. That way, every Monday when I drop this podcast, you're going to hear it. And don't forget about my real estate services. A portion of all my commissions go to charity. All right, not the other way around. And I am a listing specialist. There's plenty of real estate information on there for you. And go find me on social media. Just Google me, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. Put Orlando, put real estate at the end. You'll find me on Instagram, everywhere. Just make sure you follow me. I provide a lot of real estate and a lot of lifestyle content, including a weekend post every Friday about what's my favorite things going on in Orlando. I'm here to serve you and provide information and serve our community, and providing a voice for people like Jarrod and Ronald McDonald House. So with that said, Jarrod, let's get back into it. You guys provide more than just rooms, obviously. We've already touched upon the food and the psychology of it. What other services besides a kitchen and a place for them to lay their head at night, the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Florida provide?
Yeah. So, within the houses themselves, what you have in your house, we have it too. We have laundry, a laundry room in there. We have playrooms, family rooms, obviously the kitchen. It's anything that you're going to find in your home, just on a larger scale. We have 84 bedrooms between our three houses, so we can support up to 84 families per night. But even beyond that, so again, we talked about the meals that we provide. Other things that we do is provide snack packs to the family. So it's kind of a grab and go type thing when they're heading out the door to the hospital. And again, those are provided by volunteers. So it's another opportunity to do something offsite. You don't even have to be on site at our house to do this. Put together these snack packs, and you can drop them off, and all that little stuff adds up to so much to these families. But other things that we do even outside of the house is one of our newest programs is called the Hospitality Cart. And we have 7 of these rolling in the hospitals themselves throughout our area. And so we have, hospital volunteers that take these beautiful carts that look like a house, and they have the snack packs on them. They have coffee, they have games, books, things like that are literally going up and down the floors of the pediatric hospitals and going directly to the families there, because not every single family is staying at Ronald McDonald House. They may not need to do it, but we're trying to still bring that comfort and care directly to them, so that that they know that they hey, we got your back. You're still going through quite a bit here. And it's a really cool service that we can provide. And we can't have a house on every single hospital campus in the 9 counties of Central Florida. We really just focus our houses on the pediatric hospitals themselves. But we started this program now. We've got a cart running in a pediatric floor in Daytona. And so those families, may not need to come to Orlando, but we still want to bring that comfort and care directly to those families, so they know that people are, thinking of them and taking care of them. So the hospitality cart's a great. I love that program, and we continue to expand it outside of the Orlando area and to the surrounding counties, and working with those hospital partners to support those families.
I think that's so creative. Number one, a way to expand your reach without having to devote financial resources to building or acquiring real estate, leveraging volunteers and leveraging the folks that aren't necessarily going into the hospital, right? You said they're making the goodie bags. I also saw when I toured the facility, in the bathrooms, there was like toiletry bags. Yep. And I heard that those are provided by volunteers sometimes too.
Absolutely. So similar to the snack packs, yes, we have our toiletry kits that, you put things in there just like toothpaste, a toothbrush, deodorant, things like that, sometimes the families, they might be rushing out the door for an emergency situation. And they're like, I'm not packing like, oh, where's my toothbrush? They're just trying to get their child the care that they need. And next thing they know, they're in a hospital and they're like, you're going to be here for 2 weeks. And it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
Yeah.
They don't have the time or even the resources to run out to anywhere and buy all these things. We want to make sure that we have all of these things on site for them. And so those are things that, that anybody could get a group together, assemble these things, and you can donate it directly to our houses.
That's amazing. So Jarrod, we mentioned a few times, there's 3 houses associated with the Central Florida region of Ronald McDonald House. I mentioned that I toured one at the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital campus. Where are the other 2?
So our first house opened in 1996 at the campus of Advent Health for Children. So that's right by, like over by the Science Center. I guarantee everyone here has probably driven by it. And so that's our most visible one. And then you mentioned our house at Arnold Palmer Hospital and Winnie Palmer Hospital that opened in 2003. That one has 37 bedrooms. And then our house on the campus of Nemours Children's Health in Lake Nona opened up in 2016. And that house has 24 bedrooms. So 3 houses. We're only one of 6 cities to have 3 separate houses on 3 separate pediatric hospital campuses in the entire country. So we're really proud of that. And we're really proud that we can partner with these, really, 3 amazing pediatric hospitals that are providing, just it's some of the most top class, care that you can find anywhere in the, country of the world. We're really fortunate to have the services that we do here in Orlando. So it's really cool to be a part of that.
You're not kidding. I'm a huge advocate of Orlando. You won't find anyone who's a bigger fan of the city. I may be biased, but I think Orlando's the best city in the country. I really do, with all the different weather and our tax structure and infrastructure. You mentioned it. We got 3 children's hospitals within 30 minutes of downtown Orlando. One is in downtown Orlando. Advent is 10 minutes away. They have, charities like you supporting them. And, if you live in other even major cities, you're just not going to have what we have in Orlando. So I, for one, agree with you, and I feel very blessed to live here. So I think that's a good segue. So I did a little digging on you / you gave me some dirt. You're at least did your schooling originally, or a majority of your life was you lived in the Illinois region. Is that correct?
Yeah, I grew up in St. Louis. If people are watching, they might have seen me drinking from my St. Louis Blues cup. So I'm a big Blues fan, Blues and Cardinals. Nice. So I grew up in St. Louis, and then I made my way from there. I went to the University of Illinois, and we finally have a good football team after so many decades. It's finally have something to cheer about. So I went to University of Illinois and got my undergrad there, and then from there I went to grad school in Boston. I went to Tufts University, and got my minor in basically nonprofit management, and that's where my journey into nonprofit world kind of starred. I was like, this is where I think I want to go. And then from there, I lived in Chicago for almost 20 years, and that's where I really started my career in nonprofit work, and worked with a number of organizations. But most notably, I was at a food bank for about 6 years. So just like we have Second Harvest of Central Florida here, an amazing organization.
I volunteered there. Big advocate of that.
Absolutely. They're phenomenal. So I worked at a food bank similar to that outside of Chicago for 6 years. Then I worked with, from there I worked with a mentoring program that helped a lot of first generation students, but lower income students who, a lot of them have, their families that have never been to college, and trying to help them navigate that. And the reason why I mentioned, even those 2 organizations that I worked at is that I always try to, I don't work at just any organization. When I'm with an organization, it has to be personally meaningful to me. And when I worked at the food bank, I grew up in a lower middle class family that, my parents were blue collar, hardworking people that we could struggle sometimes. Thankfully we didn't have they never struggled to put food on the table, but they could have been one medical emergency away from needing something like that. So it meant something to me. when I worked at the mentoring organization, my parents did not go to college, and I was, the first in my family to go. And, I got good grades, but good grades can only get you so far. And you need that person that can maybe mentor you to go through that. And I was like, man, I wish I had this when I was a kid. So I was like, I love being a part of this. And then of course, and then from there, I, moved down to Orlando almost 9 years ago, and then got connected with Ronald McDonal House. And as I mentioned before, my situation with my daughter, it resonated with me. And so all of these organizations, and that's a cool thing about, even Central Florida and Orlando, there are so many great organizations in this community. Whether you support Ronald McDonal House or not, I mean, I hope you choose to support us. But if not, you pick something. There is something out there for everybody to get involved with, and we all need your help.
Couldn't agree with you more. You took the words out of my mouth from previous podcasts and previous social media content, where it's let's not judge each other for how we choose to give back. Just
Definitely.
give back.
Absolutely.
And as long as you're doing what speaks to your heart, you're doing something, and you're providing value to somebody, and gosh, you're supporting the community. It's going to make you feel good about yourself. I'm impressed. I have to ask one last question. Which city do you like better, Chicago or Orlando?
Chicago or Orlando? I've grown to really love Orlando. I truly mean that, and not just to say because I live here. I love Chicago. I lived there for quite some time. It's too big of a city for me. And I got to tell you, right now, I talk to my friends in Chicago. I text them all the time. I'm like, so how's your 25 and 30 degree weather and snow going for you right now? So like, I mean, I was there in July for that conference that I mentioned for Ronald McDonal House. And it was the most perfect, beautiful weather that I've ever seen in Chicago. And I was like, gosh, this place is beautiful when it is. But that's about 2 or 3 months out of the year. Sure. We get to have it all the time here in Orlando. And what I love about Orlando is that it's a little big city. We have so many of the amenities that any big city has. Yeah. And on this smaller scale, which I love. I like a smaller city. Chicago's too big for me. So I've really grown to love Orlando, and just in my short time of being here, I've loved to see the growth of it, the amazing restaurants. I mean, you mentioned Pig Floyd's and Pizza Bruno and all these places that I adore. You can't get that just anywhere. So we're very fortunate to have so many of the amenities that we do.
Well, okay. So what I'm hearing is Orlando is better than Chicago. So you heard it here first. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We have a great food scene. I absolutely love Orlando, and I love that there's people like you out there, Jarrod, that choose to live their lives leading with their heart and letting everything else come. So thank you for being here today. Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Florida. It's a mouthful. It is really helping families in our region, and the greater charity is helping families around the world. I want to reiterate the fact that if you want to get involved, just go on their website, just Google Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Florida, or some version of that, rmhccf.org. I have the link in the description on YouTube or below on Spotify or wherever you're listening this to. And don't forget about the matching donation from Spotlight Energy up to $50,000. So get your donations in, it'll be doubled. And the last shameless plug is, again, don't forget about my real estate services. A portion of all my commissions go to charity. I'm a listing specialist, and I specialize in working with new construction as well. I am also a property developer. Like and subscribe to my podcast on YouTube. Turn on your notifications on Spotify. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Phil Kruse with a K, Kruse. I'll provide you even more great content and information. Jarrod, I want to say one more time, thank you again for being here. I really appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure, and I appreciate you, giving a mouthpiece to our organization, to the community, because we truly are a community local organization, and I encourage everybody to get involved because our families need it.
Hear, hear. And for the listener out there, always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.